Hello, in this video, I'm going to be talking about living with metastatic or advanced breast cancer. Before I go on, I want to invite you to subscribe to our channel. We are always putting out new content about metastatic breast cancer as well as many other topics. There's always something new to watch. Many of our videos are prompted by a suggestion from you in our comments below, so keep them coming. So metastatic or advanced breast cancer, sometimes referred to as stage 4 breast cancer, is very different from early stage breast cancer. And in this video, we're going to be acknowledging and validating some of the ways in which it's different. Our goal is to help you feel seen and to feel less alone and isolated. The biggest thing that happens when you have cancer in other parts of your body is that the goals of care shift. They shift from, we're going to try to cure this and make it never come back, to you are living with a chronic disease. And as much as we want it to be chronic and not acute, that is, we want you to live for many, many years and not die within 6 months of your diagnosis, there's some problems with chronic disease. It means that you won't be cured, that conversations change in your doctor's office. It means that unlike an early stage disease, you're going to be having scans regularly, whether that's every 2 months if you're on a clinical trial, or every year. You start to have more testing. And the last thing about it is that the time frame changes. Instead of this is 6 months to a year or maybe 2 years, this is the rest of your life. And those three things make this very different from dealing with, living with early stage disease. Now, if you were initially treated for early stage disease, this will sound familiar to you, that no, we don't do scans after multimodality treatment for stages 0, 1, 2, or 3 disease unless you have symptoms. If you were just diagnosed and this is your first encounter with breast cancer, some of that may not sound familiar to you, but the bottom line is you're living with a chronic disease and treatment doesn't really stop. You're going to be on some form of treatment with what we call treatment breaks in many cases, but you're going to be on some form of treatment long term. I am aware that you may not have heard this yet in your doctor's office. Some doctors are not great about having these conversations. You ask questions like, how long do I need to be on treatment? And you don't get a clear answer. You leave not any clearer than you were when you went in. So we are aware that this may be the first time that you've heard this. Another thing I want to say is we are aiming for a cure of metastatic cancer. We are really looking to put ourselves out of business. We really are not in this for the money. Even though we need to be compensated for the cost of drugs and for our work, none of us would give up a cure. None of us, or let me put it this way, all of us would give up our homes if we knew we could cure this disease. If you're cynical and you don't believe me, God bless you. But I really want to tell you that there's no oncologist I've ever met in my life who wouldn't give everything to cure cancer. Okay, so all that aside, let's get back to the things you're living with. First of all, I know I've talked about treatments long-term and you're going to be getting scans and blood tests and getting to know your medical team a whole lot better. One of the biggest changes is you will notice that people treat you differently. People will either wallpaper you with positivity. Oh, it's your attitude that matters. If you have a positive attitude, everything will be fine. Don't be sad. Don't be angry. We need to recognize that people are scared for you, and they might even be scared for themselves. What's going to happen if you're not around? So your kids, your partner, your mother, your friends are terrified of losing you. And that's what everybody thinks of when they hear that the cancer's recurred or it's in other parts of the body, right? You probably went there too. That it's all over. And that's actually not the case, especially with breast cancer. We have more treatments and better treatments. And even though one might be really mad about being on long-term treatment, the biggest thing that comes up is fear, not just in you, but in everybody around you. And when you need reassurance, you need to be given space to feel your feelings. And you also need to be given reassurance that you're going to get through this, that it's okay, that there's reason to hope. Other people around you have their own feelings as well, whether they handle them with skill or not, whether they think about themselves first or you or not. People start to treat you differently. Again, that wallpapering with positivity. You also may notice that people ghost you. We have one of our most watched videos is understanding ghosting and how to deal with it. Ghosting is when people just disappear from your life. And if you haven't already experienced that, it's possible that some people will just absent themselves from your life. The other thing you'll notice is that people don't want to talk about their lives anymore. They don't want to talk about a trip they'll be taking in a year or things that are going on elsewhere in their lives or their minor aches and pains or their worries and fear because they feel that what you're facing is unsurmountable. And it's true. What you're facing is something they've never had to think about, but it can be really isolating not to hear about their daily triumphs and battles and the things that they worry about. And you may need to have a really firm conversation about the thing that would be most helpful right now for me is if you can stay authentic with me and talk to me about those little and big things in your life. And you may also need to calibrate it with, right now I'm going through a really rough time. Can we reconnect about what's going on in your life? You're going to learn some new skills in talking about what you need in the moment. That's a whole other video. So we just want to acknowledge it can be really hard to find who your friends are and who they're not. And also then to have to coach your friends about what's helpful. But as you recover from this abrupt news in your life, or if you're dealing with the fact that things aren't ever going to be the way they were before, you may not want to deal with coaching your friends and family, but that may be part of this so that you can get your needs met. One thing that's really helpful when you're living with metastatic disease is to have high quality information specific for you. I want to invite you to go to Yerbba.com to get your personalized Yerbba report. After you give us permission or upload your records, your Yerbba report is created by cross-referencing that with the latest medical evidence and the latest information so that you can go to your appointments prepared for what to hear, prepared to hear about different treatments and the pros and cons of each. If you get a premium subscription, you can also get Ask Yerbba, which is a way to ask questions specific to your case. That is one of my favorite features, as is a list of questions to take with you to ask your medical doctors. It's also true that managing cancer is not just physical. It's not just the side effects and the scans. It's also the mental load, that you're waiting in limbo for test results, that you get in a nice maintenance where you're on a treatment that's working, and then the scans show that the cancer treatment needs to change, and then you get stable again, you get used to the new side effects, and then it repeats all over again. That's a mental toll that's really hard. What you will find is that you learn to sort of get used to living with that uncertainty. All of us live with uncertainty. None of us knows what tomorrow will look like. Yours is a little more in your face, or if you're watching this for someone you love going through it, it's important you be aware that they don't have that certainty that most of us get to walk around full, that blissful denial of our own mortality. People with metastatic disease are actually facing their mortality much more immediately. Now, a lot of people have told us doctors that makes everything crystal clear what's important, and all the baloney falls away, that they're not bothered by small things anymore because they're able to see the joy in every day. How you cope with this is going to be your own style, and however you cope with this is good. It's how you're coping. I am confident that you can learn to make the most of every day. I am confident that you can still laugh. There's so much absurdity. There's so much to laugh at in this world. I am confident that who you are doesn't change, even though your calendar does, even though your body looks different and feels different, even though you may not have as much vigor as you had. I am confident that the essence of who you are persists. And that's really what matters. Drop us a comment below if you're going through this and you have a gift you'd like to share with other people in the Yerbba community. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.